I have so many amazing guys who watch my videos and listen to my podcasts. Some of you may be relatively new to the world of trying to learn to be more successful with women and develop yourselves as men. Others of you have been here for years, and I know some of you have worked so hard on yourselves. I regularly see my clients who 1 year later, I can barely recognize them. They've just grown as human beings so very much. It makes me so proud that I had any part in that journey that they went on. But unfortunately, something that I hear often is sometimes guys work really hard on themselves. And I mean, they really work on themselves. They change massive parts of their entire lives. And yet, in spite of all that hard work they've done on themselves, their results, their experience with women still doesn't change very much. They're still not getting anywhere close to the results they want to have with women. And so I make this video not just for those guys who have reached a point where they've worked really hard and got nowhere and they're really frustrated. I make this video for the guys just starting in this journey as well, because at some point, if you work really hard on yourself, you risk going to the dark side. Unfortunately, this has nothing to do with Star Wars. The dark side is when you become bitter and angry and mad at women. And that's a point from which it's very hard to return. So what is it? How come some guys can work so damn hard on themselves and still get no better results? Let's talk about that today. Let's talk about Aaron. Now, Aaron isn't a real man. Aaron is just an actor in a parable I'm going to tell you. Aaron has decided that he wants to get better with women. He hasn't had a lot of success with women in the past, but he's sure that if he just starts to work on himself, results will come. Sure enough, Aaron doesn't just focus on getting better with women. He focuses on himself holistically. He starts to focus on his career and getting a much better career. He picks up some hobbies along the way. He picks up surfing and photography. He builds himself a really great friend group to surround himself with. And overall, after this 18 months of hard work, Aaron's feeling pretty good. His life is overall very positive. The only negative side is he's still not getting the results he wants with women. What's going wrong for Aaron? Well, in Aaron's case, unfortunately, Aaron has really bad breath. Nobody told him. Bad breath is one of those things people rarely tell you about. And yet every time he'd walk up to a cute girl, his bad breath would get in the way like a big old smelly wall. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Aaron, 18 months ago, could have just worked on his bad breath, and bam, his results with women would have changed dramatically in just a day. Instead, he focused all his energy onto these other parts of himself that, while really critical to his self-development as a man, and I highly recommend these things, they didn't have much impact on his results with women, because women weren't losing interest in him because he didn't have those things going on. That wasn't the primary factor getting in his way. Now, if you have already taken a moment to cup your mouth in your hands and try to smell your own breath, admit to it in the comments below. Because this isn't really a video about bad breath. But this example of Aaron has led me to call this type of scenario the bad breath conundrum. Because very often we can end up focusing all our energies and work into the things that aren't really causing our trouble with women. Most of the time, when I work with men, it's not their height. It's not their male pattern baldness. It's not their race. It's not their muscle that's getting in the way of them attracting women. It's something that's happening much deeper inside in their psyche. And I know this for two very particular reasons. First of all, I know this because I have clients of all races. I have clients of all heights. I have clients of all levels of baldness who I've worked with who've done incredibly well with women. But the second reason I know this is that when I meet these men who use these particular things as examples, as reasons why they're failing with women, I feel like I want to recoil from them emotionally. I don't say that to them because that doesn't help them, but I feel it. I'm very sensitive to people's emotional spaces. I believe it's one of the things that makes me a great coach. And when guys come to me, they're always, if they're using those things as an excuse, there's always other stuff going on that I can feel. There's fear, there's pain, there's aversion, there's something. And it makes me go, ooh, I wouldn't want to date you either if I was a girl. Now, I don't say that to them because it doesn't help, but I can feel it. And I always know that it's there. And that's what's turning the women off. But yet, so it's so easy to stay focused on it's these things that's holding me back. And so the answer, the solution, is something that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear, is that often the thing that's holding you back the most with women is the part of you that you most don't want to have to pay attention to. In the example of Aaron that I gave before, I use his bad breath as an example. But let's be honest, it's probably far more likely that Aaron's problem is something like he's way too eager to please women. He believes that if he's not nice to women, women won't love him back. I had this when I was a younger man, and I can tell you for sure, it is ridiculously hard to shake that belief. It is ridiculously hard to not be super nice to a woman, to sometimes turn her down, to sometimes disappoint a woman, and still feel like you deserve to be liked. Still feel like you deserve to be attractive to someone. Because your first response is to shut down and say, no, if I'm not doing that, I don't deserve to be liked, and you kind of become avoidant. It's really hard because it's really deeply wired. And maybe that's not you. Maybe you don't have that super nice guy problem. I did, and it's hard. And I wanted to avoid it. And I worked through it kicking and screaming. And that's the truth of the matter, is that a lot of guys do all this work on themselves, but not the thing that would require them to be dragged emotionally kicking and screaming through to work on. Yeah? So a type of guy that reaches out to me a couple of times a month, 2-3 times a month, is a guy who will say something like this. Hey, Damien, I love your videos, but I got a question for you. I'm a really good-looking guy. Like, I'm not kidding. I've done modeling when I was at university. I still have amazing skin. I take great care of myself. I work out 7 days a week. I have a fantastic job. I rake in tons of money and have an incredible car. And yet, women still don't want to date me. What the hell is wrong with them? Some of you may be listening to this guy and think, what? Why wouldn't women want to date this guy? Some of you may think something's wrong here. Some of you may know exactly what's wrong. But I'm going to tell you what I see as being the problem here. This guy is not confident at all. In fact, he's not fooling me. He's highly, highly arrogant, and his lack of self-esteem is poorly masked. And if it's not fooling me, it's not fooling women. This poor guy actually has a really low self-esteem. He believes that there is nothing about him that has value other than how he looks and the money he makes. He believes that's what defines him as a human being, and that's what makes him the most appealing, because nothing else has appeal. And this guy, I can also tell you, because his behaviors are very reminiscent of narcissistic personality disorder. He doesn't have it necessarily, he probably doesn't, but it's very, very similar. And when anyone has those kinds of low self-esteem traits, that's how it manifests as arrogance, they also have control issues usually. So I can also tell you this guy probably gets pretty mean whenever women don't do what he wants or expects them to do. Right? So that means kind of verbally, it doesn't mean beating or anything, usually it just means verbally lashing out, getting a bit mean, getting a bit nasty, things like that. And so he's got those things going on. Women feel that and they recoil. And that's what's going on for him. But he thinks he's done everything right. He's done all this work because he focused on the easy stuff. I know it's hard work to go to gym every day. It is. And it's hard work to build up a career and make money. That's not easy. But it's not the really hard stuff. It's not the emotionally grueling stuff that he really has to work on first before women are going to want him in their lives. Now, I know some of you watching may say, wait up, Damien. I know some guys who actually are narcissistic, like they definitely have narcissistic personality disorder, and they are swimming in women. To which I say, yes. That's why I said this guy probably doesn't have narcissistic personality disorder, because if you have NBD, you're generally much smoother and much better at masking your condition, at least for a while in the beginning before your true colors start to shine through. That's the problem with guys and girls who have NPD. They're very good at masking it. It's very hard to pick up in the beginning. This guy is very shit at it, which suggests he doesn't actually have NPD. He's just got some symptoms. And so what's the moral of the story? Just working on yourself hard is not the solution. If any of you, and some of you I know, are in the world of trying to build a business for yourself or trying to create a great career, and one of the things you probably notice is there are a lot of people who work really, really hard, but that doesn't mean that they make a lot of money, right? It's the people who work hard in the right areas at the right times who bring in the big money. And it's the same thing with working on yourself to attract women. You can work really hard on yourself, but if you're not working hard on the right things at the right time, you're working hard without getting that result with women that you're looking for. And obviously not all self-work should be about getting women. I don't want to go there. I'm just saying that often guys work on themselves, and one of the reasons they work on specific things they choose is because they think it'll bring women into their lives. How can you work it out? How can you work out what you should be working on about yourself? Well, how can you work that out? How can you work out the bad breath situation for you? Honestly, I would first say ask some exes. Maybe exes, if you've got exes that aren't going to be snarky, that didn't end badly. I would say ask female friends. Even potentially ask male friends, but there's a bit of a caveat here. If you have male friends who aren't really very insightful people, don't bother asking them. It's been my experience that even not particularly insightful female friends will give much higher quality answers about why you're struggling with women than not very insightful male friends. But friends can really help an oodle. If you don't want to pay a dating coach or anything else, friends can be amazing at telling you the stuff you don't want to hear. So that would be my recommendation. But if not, I honestly believe most of us know what parts of ourselves we're avoiding, because that's what you have to ask. What about me do I most despise? And if you don't know what you most despise about yourself, here's a trick. Look at other guys. What do you most hate about other guys? Because what triggers you most about other men probably reflects the part of you that needs work. It's an interesting little exercise, and that can be very difficult, but that's just the beginning of how difficult some of this change can be. But when you go through it, when you go through that change in your life, yes, it improves your results with women, but changing these things about you also radically changes your own quality of life. And so it's a win-win-win all around. It's hard work, but it's worth it. So I hope this video has given you something to think about. If you're in the beginning of this journey, you're halfway through, you're already feeling some frustration, I hope it gives you something to hold on to, some hope, because yes, that change can be had and sometimes it's hard. And a lot of the new courses that I'm developing in my own professional world are around focusing on that, not so much about what to say to women, how to pick up women, focusing on men's inner space, their psychology, their self-development space. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Again, just like the last one on Tuesday, it's been a pretty deep one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. As always, if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and check out some other videos over here. If you like this one, there's a pretty good chance you might like them as well. As always, take care, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.